Scott Fitter, like Jared said, I got to give Jared credit. I'm going to put it on wax too. Jared said that there's been 19 day 2 and day 3 picks by Scott Fitter in this regime. You can blame Matt Rule saying he had final roster say or whatnot, or whatever on the previous drafts. That's cool. But you got 19 day 2 or 3 draft picks and only 2 hit at the most, when clearly those are the picks that are the backbone of your team. Those are the picks that build your depth of your team. If we're not hitting on those, it's an indictment on the GM. You're saying we need to fire the GM. I'm not even going to say you're wrong about that. My personal thing is I don't think David Tepper is going to go the route of firing a GM without firing a head coach. However, I do think he's positioned himself with this all-star coaching staff that you have multiple guys with head coaching experience, that if this thing gets too far outside of Frank Wright's realm, or he feels like he's lost control of it, he could get rid of Frank Wright. You could promote Thomas Brown. You could promote Ejiro Evero. You can have Jim Caldwell, who actually interviewed for your head coaching spot, to step in that spot and keep things in place. You have Adrian Wilson, who is not a Scott Fitterer type of guy in the front office, but he also is probably the next man up in terms of a GM, not to mention he's a minority GM, so you get some Kool-Aid points there and potentially a draft pick because of the Rooney Rule. So you have guys in place behind the head coach and the GM. I personally, like I said, don't see David Tepper, as much as he is involved and likes to medal, you know what I'm saying, like an Olympic athlete. I don't see him doing the thing. He fired Ron Rivera and kept Marty Herney. Then he fired Marty Herney, kept Matt Rule. Then he fired Matt Rule, kept Scott Fitterer. I don't see him doing that hopscotch back and forth again. So I feel like if he's going to clean house, I think he needs to get rid of either both people at the top or literally everybody. I would say not everybody, because I think there are potential all-star head coaches, rock star head coaches on this roster in terms of Thomas Brown or Ejiro Evero, or both. You could keep them together regardless. But I think that it would be tough to get rid of both. But I think that that would be the wise thing to do. That's why I feel like he may exercise some patience and keep both of them around. Unfortunately, I think he would just keep Scott around just off the strength of Scott is a very agreeable guy. He can work with anybody. That's why he was easy to get along with Matt Rule. That's why he was easy to get along with Frank Wright. He's a very agreeable guy. He doesn't put up a lot of objections. He likes to work with different types of people, which is probably why we have so many different parties, which is why he's been kind of a glue guy. But he's not this is my philosophy as a GM. This is what we're sticking to as principles. This is what I want my scouts to do. He's like a good guy that's just cool to get along with. And it's probably not a lot of shaking trees in the front office. I think that's the same issue with the coaching staff. I think there's so much respect and camaraderie amongst these guys, since we have so much experience in big names, that nobody is really shaking trees or shaking tables to be like, this is what we need to do. David Tepper may be leaning on Frank Wright as a head coach and owner, but I'm not sure if Frank Wright is leaning on his coaching staff, which is why we see so many mental mistakes in terms of I didn't know who was on the field in terms when I wanted to call this play, or I wanted to get so-and-so more playing time, but he didn't get in, or different kind of things that happen as a head coach, which is normally your responsibility of position coaches, but nobody's getting called out or held accountable in the media. But that's just my philosophy. It will be interesting to see how David Tepper approaches this. Hey, thanks for watching the video. If you want to see more Panthers content, NFL content with podcasts, live streams, film breakdowns, and all of the above, hit the subscribe button down below and the bell icon. That way you get notification every time I drop videos. You'll be subscribed to Necessary Bluntness Sports Talk. You'll get plenty more content where this came from. Once again, thanks again for watching. I'll see you next time.